You're listening to the official podcast of Asbury University, produced by students with God-honoring conversations that inform, edify, and encourage. This is Asbury. We explore culture and current topics through a Christian worldview, promoting a well-balanced life, and we empower our community to belong, become, and be set apart. I'm your host, Abby Lobb. Welcome to This is Asbury. Welcome to the podcast. I'm in the studio today with Cathy Price. Welcome, Cathy.
Hey, Abby. I'm so glad to be with you.
You're in town for the President's National Advisory Council. Welcome back to campus because you're an alum. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I have tried to play it really cool and have failed every single time at being like, yeah, this is not a big deal. I come on campus all the time. I don't. And it has been so wonderful to kind of reconnect with spots that have a special place in my heart.
What year did you graduate?
1999.
All right. So campus has changed a lot since you were here.
It has. It has. And all for the better. I'm for the improvements that you guys have made. I think it's excellent.
Yes. What did you major in at Asbury?
I was an English education major.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Cathy, tell me about what you're doing now.
Well, I work right now for a company called Chick-Fil-A.
Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe not.
Yeah. I don't ever presume that people know, but it is pretty cool that sometimes when I tell people that I work at Chick-Fil-A, they have this response of like, oh, man, I love Chick-Fil-A. And I think that's pretty cool that, that I work for a place that evokes just positive emotions in others. So
definitely. So talk about the path, because you didn't go right to Chick-fil-A. You were doing something completely different. So talk about your path leading to where you are now, Cathy.
I know. It's a pretty big jump to go from being an English education major to then working for a company, a business company. That's
large corporation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, right out of undergrad, I was a high school English teacher here in Lexington at Lexington Catholic High School, and I loved everything about my job. I did. I loved it. But after about the third year teaching the Scarlet Letter to sophomores, I was like, I don't think I can do this again. The repetition of just what was the American literature canon, and students were different every single year, and that made it feel different. But I just was like, I don't think I can keep doing the same thing. And I knew I wanted to go back to grad school, so I went back to grad school and got my master's degree in Christian leadership at the Asbury Theological Seminary, right across the street from Asbury University. And honestly, Abby, as a part of a class that I was taking, I read Jim Collins' book that's called Built to Last, and Chick-fil-A was mentioned in that book. And we had to just do a research project, like pick a company and kind of research what it's like. So I did that. And as a part of that research project and really my own motivation to just be really nerdy and get a good grade, I was able to connect with somebody that worked at the support center, which is what the corporate office is called for Chick-fil-A. And at the end of that conversation, I just was asking some questions about the relationship in between, the corporate office and the business owners or the franchise owners in Chick-fil-A. At the end of that conversation, that person said, Cathy, have you ever thought about working at Chick-fil-A? And I said, no, because I hadn't. It wasn't on my radar at all. Like I was like, I'm just an English teacher. I don't think I belong in the business setting at all. But I got to tell you that the truth is that question felt more like an invitation, and an invitation that I can only say was just really divinely inspired, and one that I wanted to say yes to. I thought that I knew that I could, stay in Lexington. I had a wonderful group of friends, and I thought that I really could build a wonderful life. I don't think that it would have been a bad life, but if I didn't say yes and somehow follow up on what this person's question that felt like an invitation was like, I'm like, oh man, you're going to be missing out on something. So that's a long way of answering your question of what the connection was in between being an English education major and working at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Did you feel intimidated at first going into that environment? Did you feel like you had what it took to work for a large corporation after teaching English?
No.
Yeah.
I think I just was curious enough to, follow up with this individual and say, what was it about me that you think would be a fit for this business? For what would be a fit? And, he told me, like characteristics, qualities, some of the background. At the time, they were trying to change the way that they were training their new operators, moving away from like a classroom-based kind of education to more of a simulator, like kitchen, interactive. And so I knew enough, like with my education background, that expertise, like I could bring that confidence. I knew how to do like some curriculum design and curate. And then honestly, with my master's degree in leadership, I knew that they were more focused on business leadership. And I'm like, all right, I think I had enough to be able to fake it. But to your point, like, did I feel confident where I'm like, I'm coming in and I'm going to nail this? No, I really felt more like I was right on the precipice of just the right amount of confidence, just the right amount of fear, like, oh gosh. But that's kind of exciting place to be.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because it forces you to be your best and do your best. And it forces you to lean on God, I can't do this on my own,
It's so true, Abby. It is definitely true. I think another thing that really helped me is, at first Chick-fil-A just hired me to do like a special project. So in my mind, I thought, oh man, this will just be something that is maybe, 3 to 4 months. And then I'll be like, done. I won't, they'll be like, thank you for your service.
How many years later now is it?
I know. So it's about 17 years later.
Wow.
I know. And I am just as shocked, but I think that, with every single role that I've played at Chick-fil-A, I've tried to have that same mentality where I've looked at it with a curiosity of what is it about me that I can bring to this role, and what is it about this role that will teach me something about myself and expand, just what my capabilities are. So I can learn something, but also can contribute something. And it's been pretty good so far.
So what is your current role?
Yeah, I have the privilege of leading a team that is focused on new restaurant development, new restaurant growth or openings, and it's specifically in 2 regions. It's the Midwest region and the Southwest region. So any new restaurant that's being opened, my team gets to support that local operator and that operator's team to make sure that they can shoulder the weight of daily operations on day one. Yeah. We want to be there with them, to help them be able to serve and support guests. And that can be really scary when everybody's new. So that's what we get to do. It's funny because my role is to do the very best that I can to help the people on my team be as wildly successful as they can be. And that's part of, I do individually, but then also, as a leader, getting out ahead as best as I possibly can to identify and anticipate the barriers or the obstacles that are coming down the pike and try to remove those as best as I can. So that's a long way of saying team leadership is really what my job is, but it's in the space of new restaurant openings.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, that's such a big, anyone who's in food service knows it's massive.
It is
it's a massive undertaking. And, you don't make a lot of money at first. There's just a lot of things that make it really difficult to start.
Yes. Well, like anything that is new, it just requires a lot of investment. There's an investment of time and energy and effort, whether that be a puppy or it be a brand new business. You're like, what is this thing?
Like, what have I done?
It's like, what have I signed up for? So that's what I love to be able to support my team, because we want to be able to support the local operators. Because truthfully, Abby, the secret to Chick-fil-A as a brand is our local operators. They're the ones. They are the heroes of the Chick-fil-A story in every single community. And anything we can do at the corporate office to help them is exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, Chick-fil-A did something really cool, and they probably wouldn't even want me to say this because the whole point was they did it just behind the scenes. But during the outpouring that happened in February, they brought some food for our students, and they kind of nobody made a big deal out of it. Yeah. It wasn't for marketing or like, look at us doing this great thing for these students. But I just think that's kind of baked into the culture of Chick-fil-A. Can you talk a little bit about that it's leadership. It comes from the top. Like, this is how we are as a company. Can you talk about that a little bit and what that's like at a corporate level?
Sure. Well, I'll say first and foremost, what you experienced is exactly what the power of local ownership is. That isn't just Chick-fil-A, the brand, but that is the operator community here in Lexington coming together and saying, this is a place where we think we can show care. And just like you said, they do it without
fanfare.
Nope, that's not it. That is not it. It's because it's in them to do. And I love that you had that experience because it's genuine care. I'll say at the corporate office, there are two things that probably are at the heart of what is Chick-fil-A. One is our corporate purpose, and our corporate purpose is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that's entrusted to us and to have a positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. So I think their first three words are really critical. It's we exist to glorify God. That is our why, and certainly the why of our founding family. That's the Cathy family, our founder Truett and his children, and now we're in leadership in the third generation, and it still is something that corporate purpose is still something that serves as a northern star, that we want to do all things to be able to glorify God. But we do that in those two ways, by faithful stewardship and making sure that we have a positive influence on all, and that's important, all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. So I would say that's a northern star. That's it. The other one is we really have set a goal for ourselves that we want to be the world's most caring company. And you guys know that care is something that has to be genuine. Like, hopefully if you go into a Chick-fil-A, someone will say,
they're great. My pleasure.
Yeah. But you know what, Abby, like we can, at the corporate office, we can be like, oh, you need to say my pleasure whenever a guest says thank you. But we can't make them mean it.
Yeah, you can't control their tone.
No. Like they could be like, my pleasure.
My pleasure.
That's
Get
right.
out of here.
That's exactly right. So that's where I'm like, oh man, that's one thing. I'll go back to just the local operator that like we can set a goal and say, this is who we want to be. But oh man, the translation of that into day to day, the hands and feet of our brand are those operators and the team members. So once again, anytime that we lose sight of that at the corporate office, we need to be reminded because we are at our best when we are supporting them.
Yeah. Well, any company that, who has in its mission to glorify God, essentially, is going to be the target in the culture wars. Yep. And, Chick-fil-A has not been a stranger to that. You guys, of course, are not immune to that. Can you talk about that a little bit? What it's been like navigating some of the challenges, I'll say, culturally, swimming upstream? What's that been like?
It's funny. I feel like my team sometimes has a front row seat of that because we are opening new restaurants, could be in a brand new market. And I think, there's a couple things. I would say we just need to play the long game. And playing the long game means you get to prove who you are by being who you are consistently over time. Yeah. So
let that break down
that's right.
the barriers.
Yeah. So we can't just say, well, we care about all people or we want to have a positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. Those are words. But if we play the long game and we live that out every single day, then people believe us. Yeah. And they will believe us over time, not because we have this artful, drafted purpose
statement. Not because you made a statement or you made a social media post. It's just the day-to-day.
But it's because they've experienced it as being true.
Yeah. I think that's the mistake that so many corporations make. It's like they try to enter into these conversations with these grandiose expressions. And it's like, well, no, how do you treat people every day?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Plus, will say, like, continuing to focus on who we want to be in this world. And that other people are going to be confused by that. And, we get to still kind of shoulder their confusion sometimes. That's okay. Like, I think there's such power in being curious about, being curious and seeking to understand rather than seeking to be understood. And
that's good.
That's just a disposition that I know I personally want to assume. And I think that many of our Chick-fil-A operators are like, oh, man, I just want to know who my customer is and what matters to them and how to translate care into that customer base.
Yeah.
When you begin with curiosity on like, well, how
and
can
the
they be
people
cared?
who are right in front of you.
That's right.
Not the people who are screaming
That's right.
outside on
Like,
social media or in the news.
That's
yeah.
right. Not
exactly.
to get too caught up in the noise. Be like,
Yes.
you're right here in front of me.
You're right here in front of me.
That's it.
So how, with your leadership style, I mean, you probably have a pretty large team, I would imagine. So how do you infuse, just the love of Christ into your daily leadership style?
Well, I think I decided a long time ago that the people that would tell me if I was a good leader or not were the people that were the recipients of my leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, other people, peers, or even those that were above me being like, oh, Cathy, you're a good leader. I'm like, thank you. That's nice. But those who follow my lead are the ones that get to tell me, if I'm doing what they need for me to do or not. So I think I would say my leadership style is one that is definitely people-centric. I'm a very I think about the people that are on my team and where they're headed, what they want out of their professional careers, and then my favorite thing is to architect situations that help them cultivate the characteristics and capabilities to get them where they want to go. So, sometimes that means, they're going to feel like they're in over their head sometimes. Yeah. But I love that.
Grow.
But don't you think that's when you grow too?
Yes,
you're like, how in the
course.
world is this going to work?
I feel that way every day.
Exactly. So it feels a little bit sinister when I'm like, oh, I just love it. We're going to break this person.
Yeah.
But
you're not wanting them to fail. You're wanting them to rise to the challenge.
That is exactly right. Like, I just firmly believe in the power of crucibles to not just break people. I think breaking people doesn't work. But man, if you're with them, then they experience breakthroughs. And I think, just as a leader, my job is to create an environment where it's the right amount of challenge, the right amount of encouragement to ultimately help that individual be able to thrive. I think when we do that, man, just the possibilities of what we can achieve individually and collectively are limitless.
Yeah. Have you seen any changes in the ways that you need to motivate people? Like, we've got older generations retiring, younger generations coming in. Have you kind of sensed a shift in how you need to lead these different groups?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's a shift in, I think it's curiosity on like what motivates that individual. But what I have experienced a shift in that I feel like I'm still learning, and that is the shift in the workplace right now. Where, it used to be it was really clear like where you were going. There was a place to go that was work and, certain clothes to put on and what professionalism kind of looked like. And there was a lot and teaming and now it's different. And to be like, oh gosh, it's possible that I haven't had a real connection. My conversations can be really transactional. And while there's beauty in the purposefulness of that conversation that's very transactional, we lose some of the kind of relational part of it too. So, I think the efficiency maybe of a virtual work environment has some casualties to it I think as a leader, I'm still kind of shifting through like how to be able to lead in such a way that people feel not just productive, but they feel connected to one another. Like that's a part of the work experience.
Was that because of COVID, or was that just because that's the way the world is going?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to speak broadly on like that's the way the world is going. I know that COVID was such a huge disruptor to what work life was like in Chick-fil-A world. I think that's, Chick-fil-A is certainly not the only company in the industry. There were others prior to COVID that were working virtually and all that stuff. But in Chick-fil-A world, we were very centralized at coming to the support center. And now post-COVID, we're like, not everybody. Okay, wait, how are we going to do this? So we're figuring it out.
Yeah. What kinds of things have you learned from these operators that you've coached and mentored?
That's a good question. I think what I've learned from Chick-fil-A operators is what it looks like to lead a business with excellence. Like Chick-fil-A operators are committed to operational excellence. And that has a sense of efficiency to it. And hopefully as a guest, you feel that. Like you feel a sense of like moving through. You know, like
it goes quickly.
That's exactly
and
right.
The food's the same every time.
That's so good. And that to me is like that is a platform of excellence that I am like, oh man, that operational excellence is something that consistency breeds a lot of trust. That coupled with our best operators have a people before profits mentality, so that those people are not just cogs in a system that is designed to move quickly and efficiently, but they are people that feel cared for. So like those operators realize the truth of real genuine care is something that is cascaded, and their guests will never really feel cared for until the person that's serving them feels cared for.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm like, man, that's a challenge for me to be like, we want to be operationally excellent. I do. In everything that I do, I want to be like, yep, this was good. And also to not lose sight of the people that are a part of everything that we do.
Yeah. Well, in closing, is there anything that you'd like to share with listeners just about where you're headed and how you think Asbury has served you well throughout these years?
I think Asbury served me in ways that I didn't know would be the case when I first came.
Yeah.
Like I have friends from my time at Asbury that are not just friends from college. Like they are friends that feel like family to me to this day. Like
that's amazing. Friends
who, when they had children, those kids felt like my kids. Do you know, like that type of, and I just think Asbury creates an environment where that type of rich relationship is possible. It's not a guarantee, but it's possible. And I like that impact has been something that has transcended any type of professional career or achievement. It has impacted like who I am as a human and like how I want to show up in this world. Yeah. So I think I in a really very transparent way, I feel like I met Jesus when I was here. I was raised in a Christian home, and my family loved Jesus. And I knew that they're like, I knew I knew that it was true, like the gospel message was true before I came to Asbury. But I met Jesus in a personal way, and it shaped everything about who I am and how I want to show up in this world.
I love it. Well, I think that's an awesome place to close. That's great. Thank you for your time. I know you've had a long day at PNAC, and I just appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us in the studio. Thank you.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about who I am and some of the experiences that have shaped me, Asbury being one of them.
Now go get some chicken.
Eat more chicken.
Thanks, Cathy. Thanks. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of This is Asbury. To learn more about Asbury University, visit asbury.edu.